Good morning, good morning, good morning again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers and one more utterance. I'm sorry. The Chiefs are stuck on the brain because it's that time of year, and I'm just sitting here just reading all the stuff coming out of the Chiefs' social media, and I'm just sitting there like wanting to ask, have you fixed the defense? Can we spend one season with our defense not being an international embarrassment? Alright, to the disclaimers. In the description box, you're going to see the link to the article that Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included in there, the Ozark's first article in regards to Agape boarding school, also now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation, a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one more former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor still on the premises with full access to the boys up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy badly photoshopping and chase after drag queens, trying and failing to defund public libraries, and insisting that the gays and the trans are out to get us to actually, function like a human being and do his own freaking job. And you got a current governor that's off his nuts. Send help. Read that article, share it on all your social media. We got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masamba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present, self-explanatory Change.org shut the Judge Rotenberg Center down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, folks, please go ahead and use those headphones, alright? This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, folks, parental supervision is very much advised, alright? Alright, where we left off, we're going to limitations and then going into conclusion. This video is probably going to be very short and sweet. Then I'm going to take myself on a nice long walk and try to get out of my head how bad, abysmally bad, the Chiefs' defense has been, because this is going to be on a loop in my head for the rest of the day. I'm just going to sit there and pray I don't have one of those guys on my freaking fantasy football team again. Hail me, Jesus. Alright, limitations. There are several limitations to our investigation. First, only 4 families were involved in the interviews, limiting generalization to other families whose children receive adversive interventions. Okay, so this is where they put in the disclaimers to cover themselves legally. That being said, Who wants to bet money that these four mothers are not alone in their experiences of coercion, lack in communication, not being properly informed on how to go through the proper channels to get the right kind of treatment programs off the ground for their kids? Because I'm going to say, even though it was a small pool of four parents, the fact that those four parents' experiences are nearly identical speaks very loudly. These families were also involved in efforts to remove their children from the facility, so do not represent those families who are satisfied with the facility. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm so tired of this. If you are as obsessed with different religions and cults as I am, because you become a vat of useless information and you're very curious about the human condition and what leads individuals into circumstances like this, particularly if you studied the Jim Jones tragedy. If you would have asked those parents, they would have told you they were very satisfied with Jim Jones' preaching and were completely happy to follow them to Africa, in an entire different part of the world from where they grew up in. For those of us who know the results of what happened for those who joined Jim Jones' little cult, we could say that they were not the best judges in the world in regards to him as a person or his vision. Okay? This isn't an argument in the JRC's favor here. There are a lot of Kool-Aid drinkers in this world. As a matter of fact, the amount of people willing to drink the Kool-Aid increases with insane numbers every single day. If you don't believe me, go on social media sometime and see how many people are willing to buy whatever it is the media is selling, regurgitate it on social media, and act like it's their own words and thoughts. Okay? Okay? I've told you about this before. It's what I call the true believers. When I call true believers that in a detrimental manner, what I mean by that is people who believe in some of the most insane, harmful, abusive things on the planet, regardless of the evidence placed in front of them. Okay? These are individuals that I reckon to cult followers, if you will. The most fervent believers. Individuals that will not reinterpret what it is that they believe when new facts and evidence come to the table. All right? That's a lot of these parents that defend the JRC. They actually believe their own press. Individuals who believe that the only way to stop their child is to inflict violence upon them. Okay? These are not the best people in the world. So although I understand the need here to mention that these do not represent the folks that are satisfied with the JRC services, I just wanted to give you a decent comparison as to how these folks may not be the best judges of what's best for their kids, because they have drank the Kool-Aid to the point that they believe it to the height of like Inquisition belief. Okay? Just saying. There are parents who have subjected their kids to exorcisms, which is why I'm getting into the fire, because there's literal collective trauma in my community, because we have had hundreds of kids who have died because of botched exorcisms, among many other things that's wrong with the film. But you get my drift here, okay? Sometimes parents aren't the best judges, okay? I question the judgment of any parent who sees quite point blank what it is that they do there and still tout with their whole chest that this is the only way. Even when the numbers, the data, literally everything else in the world tells us differently. But let's move on here. Other than having some records against which to verify their recall, there was no systemic efforts made to document accuracy of their reports. However, we do feel that the parent perceptions, regardless of accuracy of actual events, are important. Okay, let me say this here. For those parents who are not part of the healthcare field, like my mom, who just knew, coming from the healthcare field, to document everything, the parents are trying to get help for their kid. They don't automatically know, nor are they educated on, the fact that they need to start record keeping from day one. Again, not everyone's mom has worked in the healthcare field and knew that that's something that needed to be done. Okay? That shouldn't take away from their overall experience that they've had with their kids in these facilities. Especially when you have multiple other parents that back them up, surveillance camera footage that backs them up, the ER documents, the DESI reports, the list goes on and on, all right? Spare me. Respecting the mother's lead and talking about what most concerned them, sometimes straying from the semi-structured interview, allowed us a critical insight into these four families' experience with their world. So again, I understand you have to cover your ass. Believe me, I understand. Again, I used to work for the state. I have HIPAA drilled into my head, and if I close my eyelids, I could probably read it out verbatim if I actually wanted to try to. Okay? I understand that. All right? I'm not going to crucify you over this here. But at the end of the day, folks, we have more than enough information, more than enough different schools, treatment programs, places all over the world who have had success, yes, with kids, as reportedly as bad as what they say they are at the JRC, have success without using aversive therapies. We have the data to back it up, whether Dr. Matthew Israel likes it or not. In fact, it has turned out that when, in particular, there is an emphasis base that is placed, a high importance placed on community-based services, we have seen immense success. Uptick in life skills, uptick in social skills, uptick in interest in becoming a part of their own transition team, as well as inferring their wishes while they're going into the transition process. These kids don't just start doing better, they start getting involved. Okay? I know. I've been to those meetings. I participated in several different people's circle of support, advocating on the behalf of the consumer. Okay? Yes, that includes the nonverbals who have SIB, or self-injurious behavior. Okay? The numbers work against these folks. Literally everything works against these folks. Common sense and logic manifests in human form and protests against these folks, okay? There's a lot of things we have to do because of legalese. There's a lot of things I am happy that I no longer have to adhere to because I'm no longer a part of the state in that official capacity. So there's certain things, although not everything, that I'm able to be a little bit more loose with than those individuals like Dr. Freda Brown who are still very much a part of the system. But at the end of the day, when you read these disclaimers here, I want you to know them for what they are. It's us covering our ass legally, so that the JRC can't slam down a multi-million-dollar lawsuit none of us can afford to fight by saying they are defaming us. Okay? We don't have the capital to fight that. Alright, we're going to close out, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.